Here's a quote from Bill Johnson's book titled Defining Moments God Encounters with Ordinary People Who Change the World. Bill says this: in some ways, John G. Lake has had more of an impact on my life than any other historical figure. His understanding of the kingdom of God and the life of dominion over the powers of darkness is unparalleled. I've always felt that he was 100 years ahead of his time.
So with Redding, our three major economic engines are tourism, methamphetamine, and marijuana, the drug culture, and then Bethel Church.
Bethel Church is known globally. Although they have a hard time acknowledging it, they are part of a movement called the New Apostolic Reformation.
The leaders of this movement claim to be apostles and prophets with extraordinary authority, miraculous powers, and the senior leader of this church is named Bill Johnson. And Bill Johnson is probably the most influential apostle today in the United States and also influential worldwide.
He said, if you will make a covenant with Bill, I will show the world what I can do with an apostle and a prophet.
Chris Valentin is the next in command, and Chris Valentin is a self-proclaimed prophet, as in capital P.
And I will create a movement that will change the world if you will humble yourself.
He believes he holds the office of a prophet, not that he just has the gift of prophecy, but that he actually holds the office of a prophet.
I moved here to Redding, California in 1996 to attend Simpson University. At that time, Bethel was just one of the many churches in the area that was large and didn't think anything of it. And I think once or twice I went there with some friends, and it was very, charismatic, but nothing that I felt was over the top.
A couple who attends Bethel Megachurch in Redding is getting national attention for asking Christians to pray for the resurrection of their 2-year-old daughter who died unexpectedly.
We have a biblical precedent. Jesus raised the dead.
One of Bethel's most important ministries is their School of Supernatural Ministry.
BSSM is Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry. I've got a family member who went there to become a prophetess some years ago.
Some people locally call it the Christian Hogwarts. Essentially, it's a place where you can come to learn more about who you are, who God is, and to learn how to practice the supernatural things that Bethel teaches.
So my name's Jesse Westwood. I'm a 3-year Bethel alumni. I live in Delaware. I have a small farm with 3 kids, a wife, and 1 more on the way.
So Jesse, thank you so much for joining us, and we can't wait to hear about your time at Bethel.
Yeah, so I went to Bethel School of Supernatural Ministry, did 3 years there, so it's a 3-year program, went from 2008 to 2011. I've been leading worship for over a decade now in charismatic circles and went through a heavy deconstruction phase after everything to the point where I was an atheist for a little while. And after that, by the grace of God, I was able to step back into my faith with a more historical understanding of Christianity.
We're a little interstate town. As you're driving north from the Bay Area, pass through Sacramento and you reach Redding on your way up to Oregon. We're about an hour from the Oregon border. When I first arrived in Redding about 10 or 11 years ago, my first thought was, this place is ugly. I did not like the local town at all, and I was like, it's a good thing God wants me here because I wouldn't come here on my own. We do have the world-famous Sundial Bridge. Not sure how many people in the world know about it, but we're very proud of it. Designed by a famous architect, and I think what we should be known for, what makes me happy to live in Redding today is our amazing nature and outdoor experiences. We have so many wonderful national and state parks around us. You drive an hour in any direction, you can reach mountains and volcanoes and snow and waterfalls. It's really a beautiful place to live. I feel very lucky to be here, but it took a while for me to get used to it and to love it. There's about 90,000 people who live in the city of Redding, and Redding is within Shasta County, which has about 180,000. So we are a rural community.
My name is Bart McCurdy. I have lived in Redding since 1973. Our family moved up from the Bay Area for my dad for his work, and so we moved to Redding. And one of the first churches that we attended was actually Bethel Church. It was in a different location, and at that time, Bill Johnson's father, Earl, was the head pastor. So we attended there a few years until we moved to the country and helped start up another smaller church that is now a much larger church in Redding.
I'm a local journalist, have been a local journalist for about the last 3 years. Before that, I worked mostly in community development work and with children previously to that. I have 4 kids, super proud mom, and the things I really enjoy writing about, things that drew me into journalism, are justice issues. So essentially helping to elevate the voices of people who have less of a voice, and then to people empowered, just holding those voices accountable, people who already have a strong voice. As I'm reporting on the Shasta County area, essentially Bethel is a pretty important part of that. They're one of our biggest employers in the Shasta County area, and they draw in quite a bit of tourism to the area through essentially religious tourism.
And so with this many people coming here, they rent houses and apartments, and they buy houses and cars, and they have money. And so the community has embraced them in many ways just because of that. They're what they've brought to the economy.
Now as somebody who's reporting, among other things, on Bethel, it's really important that I acknowledge to the community that I write for that I have a connection to Bethel. That creates a bias. Some people will think a bias for Bethel, others will think against Bethel. But essentially, it's part of my story that, yes, 10 years ago, I came to this area for Bethel to attend the first year of the School of Ministry with my husband and my 2 kids at the time. And so when I'm reporting stories, I'm disclosing that I came for Bethel and I attended BSSM, and also that we left Bethel quite a few years ago and are no longer affiliated in any way with the church. So again, I do just want people to know that, however they take that, whether they think that means that biases me for or against them. I think it really offers me a very unique perspective. I've been inside. I've spent and donated a lot of money to the church. And so that makes me sort of a stakeholder in the church. And now I'm on the outside of that church. Still know quite a few people there. And so I think it helps me to report accurately because I really understand the mindsets when people use phrases that inside the church that other people are disturbed by. I know what they mean. And I'm not disturbed by them, but I do have an understanding of how to translate that for the community.
For over 20 years, I've been at Simpson University, and I've had the incredible privilege of working with so many great people. And I've been in minor roles, and first starting out, entry-level roles, and I worked my way up, and now I'm a director of a department. And I've seen over the last 20-plus years Bethel's influence in our community, but also in the Simpson University community, and the partnerships with Bethel now with the supernatural students living on campus, and our staff and faculty have been infiltrated by Bethel. It is wreaking havoc on our community of Simpson University, and we see the effects of it. I can think of countless stories of people coming in my office. We used to do a lot of guest housing at the university, and we'd have people come into the office and they would want to prophesy, or I had a lady come in my office and grab both my hands, and she started jumping up and down yelling, "Fire, fire, fire from heaven, fire from heaven." And she did this for a couple of minutes, and I let her do it. She was elderly and I didn't want to shut her down. And then afterwards she said, "Did you feel anything?" And I said, "No, I'm sorry, I didn't feel anything. I just felt very uncomfortable." And she was shocked that I would respond that way because she had called down fire from heaven.
I think there's a lot of differences in opinion as far as how Bethel is viewed by the community. A significant percentage of people in Redding who believe Bethel people are really good people and they're doing good things. They appreciate the presence of the church and the community.
Economically, Bethel has done a ton for Redding. Like it's, in that sense, they've raised the home value like crazy. Like if you just look at the real estate history of Redding, it's incredible. Like the way it's blown up.
The things they do that are generous, the way that they bring in visitors and students, and those people often start businesses. And there are things like that where people say, our community wouldn't be what it is without Bethel's involvement, and we're really lucky to have the church here.
And they are generous and supportive and positive, and they do mentoring programs and anything you think of in the community, they're a part of.
Redding's new Barnes & Noble bookstore opened this morning.
And they really have a presence in the community.
Bethel Church senior leader Bill Johnson had the ribbon-cutting honors, and senior associate leader Chris Valentin was there for a book signing. Numerous books by the Redding megachurch authors are on sale here.
And so it's hard for a lot of people to talk negatively or to view them as a threat to Christianity because they do such good things. Just like the Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses or any other movement or cult, they would do many great things, many moral things, but it's lacking the gospel, it's lacking truth.
Then on the other side, you also have quite a few people who feel the opposite, that Bethel is ruining or destroying our local culture. A lot of people feel like their involvement with government activities, schools, social activities is a kind of takeover of the local city.